I'm a woman in my mid-40s. I'm overweight. I have a low-paying job. I'm single. I haven't had a boyfriend in 20 years. I haven't been on a date in 10. Sometimes I stare at myself in the mirror, shocked at how horrible I look. I hate the person looking back at me. It would be so easy for her to change, to improve her life. But instead of changing, she actually heads straight down to the kitchen and she eats something she shouldn't. I live in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment with my mother. She's almost 80 years old. She was the nicest person in the world when I was growing up. So kind, supporting and motherly. But then dementia set in a couple of years ago. It turned her cruel. She doesn't remember who I am and usually just yells horrible things at me. She should be somewhere that could support her better, but I can't afford that, and there's nobody else who can help. This afternoon I walked up to her bedroom door. I raised my hand up to knock, but then stopped. I took in a deep breath. I always had to prepare myself mentally for what was about to happen, and I exhaled slowly. And then I lightly tapped on the door 3 times.
"Whoever it is, stay the hell out of here,"
she said. I opened the door. "It's just me, Mum. Did you sleep well?" She looked at me up and down, the usual scowl on her face.
"I'm not your mother. If I gave birth to something as fat and ugly as you, I'd have long ago killed myself."
I thought back. Remember that time when you were 15? Your first boyfriend had just broken up with you. Remember how sad you were. Remember when your mother came, when she told you how beautiful you were, how smart you were, how he was crazy for breaking up with you. Remember that woman. Let's not be like that tonight, Mother. Do you want to come for dinner? I noticed something different than usual. She was wearing a heart-shaped pendant around her neck. I'd never seen it before.
"I'm starving. I would love to eat. That is, if you haven't devoured all of the food in the house already."
Remember that time you broke your arm as a little girl? How much it hurt. How terrified you were. Remember when your mother came? How much it comforted you. How she assured you you'd be okay. How she had always made you feel so much better. Remember that woman. She came with me to the kitchen. I had pasta waiting for her. She began eating. "Where'd you get that pendant, Mum?" I asked.
"I don't know. It doesn't matter. God forbid somebody in this house wears something to make themselves look less disgusting."
And then something weird happened. I felt as though I'd lost control of myself for a moment. I know this sounds strange, but it felt as though I was barely in control of my own body. I thought terrible things right then, horrible things, mostly about my mother. I almost said them out loud. But then I just barely regained control. I looked around the room, trying to make sense of what just happened. My mother had stopped eating. She looked confused, as though something strange had just happened to her as well. "What's wrong?" I asked her. "Aren't you enjoying your dinner?"
"I can't tell if this food tastes like garbage, or if I've just lost my appetite from looking at your revolting body. Probably it's both. You're worthless filth. You're nothing."
That was too much. I was fighting back tears. I had to leave the kitchen. I had to. I can't let her see me cry. It only makes her crueler. I went to my bedroom, breathing heavily, trying to get myself together. You'd think that after all this time, that I'd just be used to this. She'd been this way for years, but I never got used to it. In fact, it just keeps getting harder. I opened the top drawer of my cabinet and took out some of the chocolates I keep there. I ate a few. I ate more than a few. I decided to go into her bedroom, look around, to see where that pendant may have come from. And then I noticed a brown case placed neatly on her desk. It was about 8 by 12 inches, 4 inches thick. It had a black handle on the top and some strange foreign language was written on it. I'd never seen this case before either. I opened it up and was immediately confused. There was another heart-shaped pendant. I still don't understand where it came from. I picked up the pendant. I know what I did next didn't seem smart. I know there was no logical reason for it, but before I even noticed what I was doing, I had put the pendant around my neck. There was another item inside the case, a note. It was written in my mother's handwriting. I picked it up. Nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to read. I had no idea what to make of it. It frightened me so much that I let out a quiet gasp. I almost dropped it on the ground. It read, "I control your mother now. She does what I want her to do. She says what I want her to say. And I'm figuring you out as well. Almost there. Remember the dinner table? Have a nice sleep." When I finished reading, I realised my mother was standing in the doorway, staring at me, the regular scowl on her face, and maybe just a hint of a smile. And then she said,
"Have a nice sleep."
She winked at me. I had to walk past her to leave her room. She looked right at me with that scowl smirk the entire time. When I got to the end of the hallway, she was still standing, looking at me. I entered my room and I closed the door. I did not have a nice sleep, not in the slightest. I could feel something prying inside me, trying to gain control. The battle continued for most of the night. Even now, as I write this out, I can still feel it. I still think back to my mother when I was a child. It helps me fight. It gives me strength. I think of how caring she was, how everybody loved her so much. But maybe that was just all wishful thinking. Maybe I've created some false memories as a coping mechanism. It's possible. Because even when I was young, my mother was sometimes a terrible person. Mean. I'm just going to say it. She was sometimes a bitch. She thought she was so beautiful and always held it over me. But it wasn't true. She had a horse face. She was ugly and filthy. She was a whore who was always sleeping with dozens of other men. I hate her, and she always hated herself. My father didn't die against his will. He gave up living because he had a bitchy horse-faced whore for a wife. And she criticizes me for my life and behaviour? What a joke. I've never loved her, even as a child. Maybe I'll go to that bitchy old hag's room and let her know how I really feel. "Mother!" I yelled across the apartment. I smiled at what I heard in between crying. She said,
"I'm so sorry for how I've been acting. I'm...
"Shut up, you stupid bitch,"
I yelled back.
"This was going to be fun."
I hope you enjoyed this story. And until next time, be good. And if you can't be good, be careful.